So a good match is meeting your wants and your needs. Want to make sure that we're really careful to not put too much weight on rankings. U.S. World and News Report, all of the rankings that are out there are heavily skewed, and there isn't a lot of data to show that they really have a whole lot of validity for a myriad of reasons, and we can get into that in the Q&A if anybody has additional questions. But want to make sure that you're reading the second bullet point, that rankings oftentimes are based on factors that really don't have a whole lot to do with a student's interest or why they're going to a college, like peer institution assessment or the average alumni giving rate. Sure, maybe there's a little more endowment for scholarships, but really how much is that affecting the student's everyday experience at that campus? Acceptance rate. Acceptance rate, numbers, statistics can be very heavily skewed. So we need to pay more attention to things like accreditation. What is the standard of the education for programs like in business or in engineering? What are the pass rate boards for nursing? What is the job placement rate? What's the retention rate? How happy are the students? Are they staying there from freshman to sophomore year? These are things that students should be asking and kind of concerning themselves with a little bit more so than rankings. So the tool to use, if you're not familiar, we're going to just kind of go through MaiaLearning as a reminder that both students and family members, caregivers, guardians, and parents have access to MaiaLearning. And this is a way for you to continue to do the self-exploration through assessment and keep track of all these steps of the process. So you can compare yourself as a junior to past graduates of Niles North or Niles West at your respective building and see how you stack up in terms of your chances for admission based on your overall profile. Now, this isn't an exact science. It's just meant to be a reference point so you can kind of see the correlation there. In the fall, we'll have college rep visits. So raise your hand if you came to the college night, to the college fair at West. Awesome. Okay. So we have them come individually in the fall at our respective buildings where students can meet more personally in our college and career centers and get their questions answered or learn a little bit more about their programs. And oftentimes the reps that come are the ones that are reviewing the applications, are the ones that are advocating for our students in the review committees and get to kind of go back to their offices and say, you know, I met with so-and-so at Niles North or Niles West High School. I think they'd be a really great fit for our campus. So students, I know a lot of juniors have been on this recently, but as a reminder, just sign in with Google as long as you are logged in. Parents, guardians, and caregivers, you can access this just by simply going onto the main Niles North or Niles West site. Go to Parents. It's alphabetical. Click on MaiaLearning. And then if you don't know how to log in, just click Forgot Password. And as long as you enter in the email address that we have in Infinite Campus, you'll get a reset password instruction. When you're logged in, we're talking about all this self-exploration and a deep dive into self. So I would highly recommend, if you haven't already, to do the assessments under character. So on the left-hand side, you will see character, and then click on interest profile or work values, learning productivity, and personality. My tip is do the personality one, because all the things that we just talked about in terms of environment and fit and learning style and how you communicate and how you work with others, these are things that not only hopefully you learn a little bit more about yourself, but these are oftentimes questions that might arise in a conversation you have with an admissions counselor, or maybe even an essay prompt talking about what do you view your weaknesses or your strengths to be, how do you communicate with others, how do you view yourself as a leader. If you do the personality assessment, you'll have your own personal cheat sheet to some of those questions. the universities that you're considering. As you're going through this process, make sure that you keep record of all the colleges that are on your radar. So if you haven't already and you were at the college fair, please go into MaiaLearning and add any schools that you are considering that stood out to you. This allows Mr. Jin or myself, your school counselors, your family, to know kind of where you are with the process, what schools that you are thinking about. And oftentimes we might recommend a school that you really like that's on your list, and then offer up a couple of other schools that maybe have some similar qualities to that school. It also helps us when the college rep visits come, or the college reps come to visit us in the fall. We'll send out an email blast and really promote it, especially to the students that have the schools in their MaiaLearning. We want to make sure that, if you've indicated that it's a school you're interested, that you at least are well aware that the school is coming to visit us. So in addition to the assessments, there is just the general university search, and you can search by a wide array of filters. That could be location, distance away from home, size, type of school, things like that. And then these scattergrams is what I was referencing just a moment ago, where you can see how you match up to past graduates at our building. So it's one thing to look at the national data or to go onto the websites and to see this is what the average student pays to go to the school, or this is what the average admissions profile is to get into the school. But it's another thing to actually see it alongside. There's no names, they're just data points, but it's nice to kind of see where you fall in line with students coming out of our district that have the same academic course offerings and are coming from our area. And so you can also see some of those admission statistics by simply clicking on the school, and you can see at the top, maybe you can see, is admission. Some general information about what is part of the admissions process, and then just some general statistics as well. And here's a close-up of the data. You can see it's all color-coded, so green, what do we think green means? Admitted, yay! And then we've got denied, which is red, and deferred and waitlisted. And so you can also see students that were maybe deferred, meaning they wanted more information. Maybe they needed updated grades or a new test score, and then were admitted. Or if they were waitlisted and taken off the waitlist, you can see all of those details. And you can also see the number of students that applied. If you know schools and you just want to search, maybe you want to get some general information about what their requirements are, what their deadlines are, things like that, you can simply just type in the names of the schools, and that's fine as well. But I wanted to go through all of those other things because if you're kind of at a starting point, then by doing the assessments, you can actually get a list of colleges based off the results of the assessments and then filter the schools that way. So kind of heading into the here and the now and moving forward, I kind of mentioned briefly with the personality assessment what I find to be incredibly helpful when I help students with essay writing is that that's kind of like insight into who they are, right? It doesn't really help if we don't have record of all the great things that you've done. And I'm sure that families can probably attest to this, but how many of you remember how many hours you spent doing your sport freshman year, September? Yeah. So if you have some time over the summer and you want to help your future self, journaling and building your resume in here, adding your experiences, this was all going to be very helpful. You can put links and pictures and some general timelines for your resume. You can build a resume and it'll serve multiple purposes, whether you